Hey, welcome to my kitchen. My name is John, and I am here with another healthy tip. We love diner food, at least I do, and it's usually from that Greasy Spoon diner down the street, and you love everything on their menu. And if not, there's always like that patty melt that you're craving, or a Reuben, sometimes like a tuna melt, or even chicken salad sandwich. Not necessarily the best for you because they fry it up in grease and it's not great for you, but you crave it. Well, I have a trick. Today we're going to be making a good habit tuna melt. What they say about good habits is they sometimes die and bad habits die hard. Well, we'll call this a bad habit and hopefully it helps you out. Well, here we get started here. I am doing tuna melts today because it's what I have on hand. But the great thing about this is you can do this with chicken salad, you could do this with ham, leftover turkey. It is a simple way to use up leftovers. Again, because I have tuna on hand, I'm making a tuna melt. So, one thing you're going to need is a slice of bread. I decided to use Dave's Killer organic bread. It's the 21 seed, so it's got a lot of texture within the bread. I do like it. Very tasty. If you are going to fill up with a carb or a bread, might as well make it good, right? So that's what I've decided to go with for my base for this particular product. So yeah, the tuna melt. Good habit tuna melt, even though it's bad habit, right? Because bad habits die hard, right? So bread, tuna. I have here about quarter cup of celery and an eighth a cup of onion. I dice them fine. Now, if you like a lot of texture, don't dice them as fine as I did. Then I'm also going to be using a little bit of mustard, some oregano. I'm not going to be using mayonnaise for this because I don't like warm mayonnaise products. It's usually like a turn off, and that's why I don't typically do a tuna melt out anywhere because it is a mayonnaise based product. But I will be using two of the ingredients that are within mayonnaise, and that is going to then be a little bit of balsamic vinegar and olive oil here, then salt and pepper to taste. So when I say to taste, I'm probably not going to be using that much salt because I do like to keep things a little low sodium in my household and in my diet. I have the broiler on also for this particular recipe, and it's already starting to smell hot in the kitchen. I can definitely tell that it is on. Just going to carefully remove this can of tuna, and this should be good for one serving. As it is, I know that they do say a can of tuna packed in water you should be able to get 2 servings out of. Because we're not mixing it with too much high caloric items, I'm going to just say, you know what, use the 1 can for yourself. Now, you may be able to stretch it to 2 servings. So if you don't want to be using, say for example, you have a family of 4, 2 cans of tuna should do the trick for this particular recipe. I'm also going to cover it with 1 ounce of Swiss cheese. Now, I did a little bit of a OCD sort of serving size for what 1 ounce of cheese looks like, and that's exactly what I have here, cut of Swiss cheese. You can also use any of the lighter cheeses like mozzarella if you want. All right, so I kind of broke up the tuna in the bowl. I'm going to toss the celery and the onion in. Just move this off here. It'd probably just be easier to scrape it with a finger right off the cutting board than it would be to try and pick it up. All right, so the onion, the fine diced onion, and the celery's in the bowl. I'm going to stir it around just a little bit because I still have other ingredients to put in it. probably the first one that I'm going to put in is the olive oil. I'm going to measure that out. I'm only going to be using like a teaspoon, if that, of olive oil. I don't want too much grease in this or heavy fat. I want to keep it. Now, if you want to use your mayonnaise, go ahead and use mayonnaise. If you want to use less, like a different oil, you could definitely use a different oil. I just like the olive oil for this. I'm just going to set that off to the side so I don't spill. Okay, that is 1 teaspoon, double checking, of oil. And I'm probably going to do about 2 teaspoons of the vinegar, the balsamic vinegar. I don't need much, just a little bit for flavor and a little bit of sweetness too. Balsamic dressing is slightly sweet. Okay, so put the lid on that so we don't spill. And I just have a stone ground mustard here. This one actually is a relatively new bottle, so there's gonna be a little bit of that vinegar on top no matter how much you shake it. All right, it's already trying to come out of the container. All right, and just about 1/4 of a teaspoon of mustard. Yeah, not much. And I'm just gonna stir it up and see how it kind of partially emulsifies together. It smells awesome, especially with that that mustard and balsamic already. And the onions, oh, those onions. Now you can use red onion if you have red onion. I use the white onion. If you have shallot on hand, or even just a green, like little green onion, spring onions, use those. There's no perfect recipe for this. This is as you want to make it. All right, and I'm just mashing this with a fork, and I think it looks really good. Looking forward to this. I can't wait to put the cheese on because I'm kind of miss the days of heavy, greasy cheesiness. So, all right, so I have that all made up, and even stirred up, as you can see, it almost looks as though I'm going to just pack it down. Probably get 2 servings out of that for 1 slice of bread, and then you just want to double up on the cheese, so you have 2 ounces of cheese and you split that between 2 people. All right, so my little loaf or slice of bread, not loaf of bread. I'm sure it's delicious on like homemade bread, like homemade Italian bread. I don't have any made at the moment, but I have this little piece of, I shouldn't call it little, it's kind of large, but this piece of the organic bread. Again, that's the Dave's Killer Bread, 21 grain. I'm a fan. All right, so this is just gonna pour this right on top. I shouldn't even say pour. And try and like mash it all together. I'm really looking forward to this. It looks really good. I hope it's well stirred. Like I said, I'm not a fan of big chunks of vegetables in my tuna melts and stuff, but this looks amazing the way it is. I cut it as fine as I could. It was about a half a stalk of celery, half a large stalk of celery. So anything from it was kind of like a 10-inch piece of celery. Yeah, that's definitely enough for 2 people. I don't know why I'm trying to do it all on 1 slice of bread. But I will, because you know what? I've calculated everything out, and I'm looking at about 225 calories for this whole meal, and it definitely is a meal. Look at that. I want to just push that down. Now, if you want to mix any other herbs in it, you can. I'm just going to put the oregano on top. Get these onion bits back on the piece of bread. You know, mash it, mash it, mash it. If you want to use a different vinegar, I use balsamic, like I said. You don't have to. And you could use like a red wine if you want, or if you have rice vinegar would also be really good. Alright, so I said I was going to do a little salt and pepper to taste as well. And I do like pepper, but I'm just going to be modest with it. Some good fresh black pepper on that. Some salt. Ground up. This is kind of coarse, so I won't be putting much on. And I'm going to make hopefully do like a little basket weave of this cheese. And this is Swiss, so it would have had like holes in it. Just going to overlap a couple of pieces. Okay, maybe not a basket weave like I had intended. There we go. I'm going to flip this one around. Okay, so I did like a little basket weave on top just to make it kind of pretty. Again, if you're on a diet, you want your foods to look good, right? And a little bit more of the oregano. Now I'm just going to toss this in the broiler for a couple of minutes till the cheese is melty, bubbly, and browned. And the bread will be slightly toasted, and it'll be ready to eat in a minute. So I will see you as soon as this is done. The tuna melt took about maybe 5-7 minutes in the broiler. Okay, again, the broiler was set on high and it melted the cheese, so that's all melted. The tuna is warm, and I just sliced up a couple of hearty pieces of the cucumber, because I really wanted like pickles and chips to go with this, but I don't have either on hand, and nor do I want to create any bad habits. So this is my good habit tuna melt. I really hope you enjoy. Lunch is served. I will see you next time. Remember to click like, subscribe, do all that stuff for this particular YouTube channel if you're looking to drop a few pounds. Not saying it's all going to be the healthiest available, or it's not always going to be plant-based, or not always fish, not always meat. It's going to be a range of different things, but they're always going to be slightly healthy and slightly under budget. I will talk to you next time. Love you guys. Bye.